In the most recent episode of Special Forces, World's Toughest Test, Kody Brown, star of Sister Wives, displayed a rare and vulnerable side. The reality TV star's antics and slightly irascible nature are well known. As he considered his responsibilities as a spouse and father, he became emotional. For the 56-year-old, what began as a physical challenge swiftly evolved into an emotional confrontation. Kody even said that he is still troubled by a lot of his previous errors. Fans saw a different Kody as he talked about his broken relationships with his ex-wives and kids. Is this newfound humility real, though, or is it just a TV phenomenon? To discover out what actually happened, continue reading. Madison Brush, Kody Brown's daughter, is still struggling with the emotional gap between them even as he works through his mistakes. Madison acknowledged in a recent episode that she is still upset by her father's absence. Of the 6 children born to Kody and Janelle Brown, Madison is the second oldest. She and her husband, Caleb Brush, confessed in a confessional, "You want your dad to show up. You desire peacemaking," Madison remarked. "I'm upset because I'm still working on learning to not be disappointed, and I know I played a part." She said that she's attempting to adopt a different perspective on her father, acknowledging that he may be hurting and didn't know how to show up. Kody, meantime, stated that he hoped to mend his relationship with his ex-wives and kids, but he pointed out that it could only take place on their terms. Kody Brown hit an emotional wall during the Special Forces, World's Toughest Test episode that aired on November 6. The directing staff questioned Olympian Shawn Johnson's leadership choices as he struggled through a hostage rescue exercise. Kody was forced to reflect deeply on his life outside of the show as a result. He mentioned his 18 children when he added, "There's always the accusation that I was favoring one over another. However, they would turn on you, saying things like, 'I don't need or want dad in my life.'" Kody acknowledged that his mistakes caused him to become estranged from the majority of his elder children. He sobbed as he admitted, "I should have had a stronger relationship with my children." The reality star went on to say that he is now prepared to take accountability. He went on to say that even though he thought he was a decent husband and father, his failures came from not knowing about being a good dad and husband. "I truly believed I comprehended it," he added. Kody came to the conclusion, "I made a lot of mistakes." Kody is dedicated to mending his connections these days. This includes Christine, Janelle, Meri, and his former wives. Kody declared that he is prepared to start again and rebuild his family. "I apologize if I have insulted or injured my kids. Through marriages, divorces, new beginnings, heartbreaks, and the gradual disintegration of a plural marriage that was once hailed as a symbol of unity, Sister Wives has for years immersed viewers in the constantly changing emotional terrain of the Brown family." However, nothing forewarned fans when the father of the family, Kody Brown, finally opened the emotional safe he had been keeping for decades. Kody, who is frequently belligerent, aggressive, and eager to defend his decisions, does something startlingly unusual in the most recent episode. He breaks down. "Don't be blustery. No deviation. You can't blame the wives. A man bearing the burden of his own remorse. The entire globe is observing. An honest admission. I failed them." It starts out gently. Kody is seen on camera sitting by himself on his Flagstaff home's back patio, his fists pushed against his temples and his shoulders slumped. He appears older, weary, in a way that transcends just physical fatigue. He no longer exudes the confidence he usually brings to confessionals. Fans almost hear Kody's ragged-edged breath as the producer asks, "How are you doing today?" His voice breaks in the middle of his statement, "I feel like I failed my kids. Every one of them. In various ways. They didn't need me as a father." The statement is startling to fans who have watched Kody's relationships with some of his children, especially those with Christine, Janelle, and Meri, deteriorate over time. What follows, however, is even more unvarnished. Kody starts listing particular regrets, such as failing to recognize emotional indicators, reacting angrily rather than sympathetically, and putting the framework of plural marriage ahead of his children's needs as people. With tears in his eyes, he confesses, "I was so focused on keeping the family together that I didn't notice the kids slipping away from me. They were hurt by the time I did, and I had no idea how to make things right." Fans have been screaming for this kind of accountability for years. The separation from his older kids, the program shifts to discussions with a few of the adult children, who describe how the emotional distancing started long before the family's public disintegration without disparaging their father. Logan, who is now married and leads a peaceful life of his own, says he began to feel the weight of being the oldest son. Logan explains, Dad expected me to help hold everything together. However, we were only children. It was not the other way around. We needed him. Though they don't talk as much, Gabe and Garrison's quiet hurts because of their well-knownly tense relationship with their father. In a brief video, Gabe can be seen twisting a ring on his finger while looking directly into the camera. Ultimately, Gabe states, "It's complicated. I cherish my father. We're not all right though, not quite yet." Fans are aware that during the COVID-19 issues, when Kody enforced stringent regulations and the lads rebelled, Gabe and Kody's friendship drastically soured. Those emotional scars remain. The cameras capture Kody's reaction as he sees these interviews while they are being filmed, his jaw shaking, his eyes moist. "I'm worthy of that," he murmurs. "I believed I was defending the family, so I pushed them away, but one by one, I was ruining relationships." The gentle truth from Christine. He was spread too thin. Christine, Kody's ex-wife who refuses to change their past in a brutal way, is the one who may destroy him with compassion. She selects her words with unexpected empathy while lounging on her couch in Utah. She whispers, "Kody wanted to be everywhere at once. But nobody is able to achieve that. He cherished us. He cherished the children. He simply didn't realize that love requires patience and constancy. I don't think he meant to fail as a father," she says after pausing. However, intentions do not negate the effect. Christine's viewpoint humanizes Kody, not as the irate guy that fans frequently perceive, but rather as someone who is overburdened by the unachievable standards of a way of life that he insisted on upholding. Kody maintained for years that plural marriage was the arrangement that maintained the family's stability. Viewers now witness him confront the heartbreaking irony that his relationship with his children may have been strained as a result of the system he supported. "Our kids needed him more than his rules," is Janelle's heartbreaking statement. Janelle is more straightforward. "I pleaded with him to come for the boys," she adds, her voice firm but her eyes moist. "Not when listening to lectures. Not with rage. Simply show up, be there, be a father." Her sorrow is evident. In a sense that can only be produced by decades of cooperation and joint parenting, she is dissatisfied rather than angry. She thinks back on the years she spent mostly parenting 6 children by herself, while Kody lived in different homes. She claims it wasn't sustainable. Kody thought he was giving it his all. However, our children saw Dad prioritize some connections over others. Janelle doesn't try to hide how much she still feels the distance between Kody and their sons. She acknowledges, "It breaks my heart. I'm not sure whether those relationships will ever completely recover." The footage rewinds to Kody wiping his face with the back of his palm after hearing her comments. He stutters, "I didn't know how to be everywhere. But I ought to have put in more effort, particularly with the boys." Robyn's viewpoint. The two-sided sword. Robyn's relationship with Kody is the closest and is frequently cited by fans as a matter of contention, making it possibly the most delicate plot issue. While Robyn acknowledges that Kody spent more time with her kids, she is annoyed that people think she purposefully ignored him. She sobs as she explains, "I never wanted the other kids to feel abandoned. But I couldn't make him be 2 different things at once either." She maintains that she urged Kody to make amends, connect with others, and spend more time with the elder children. She does, however, see the strain that resulted from the other spouse's growing resentment. She compares it to witnessing someone drown. "And each time I extended my hand to assist him, the others perceived it as a draw toward him. All I wanted was to keep us all afloat." Fans hardly ever hear this viewpoint, but it highlights the emotional turmoil of the era. The tipping point. An exchange with Genuine. The scene, where Kody recounts a private discussion with Christine's youngest daughter, truly, is the most tragic. "Why don't you come over more, Dad?" she asked me. "Do you not want to?" He remembers, his voice breaking so violently that he halts his speech. His shoulders tremble as he hides his face. She wasn't upset. I wasn't being accused by her. She was simply perplexed. And that was more painful than any grown-up reprimand. His collapse is triggered by that inquiry, because it makes him face the fact that the child who used to follow him around with complete trust now views him as a part-time presence. 4 families wait on one man. Kody acknowledges that he truly attempted to balance everything during the years when the family lived together in Utah, or, subsequently, in a cul-de-sac in Las Vegas. However, he acknowledges that everything changed after they relocated to Arizona. There was greater distance between the wives. The kids were more dispersed. COVID limits caused further stress, and he lost his emotional capacity. He claims, "I changed into a man I didn't know. I'm upset, defensive, bitter, And it was the version of myself that my children saw the most. Although it's a terrible self-evaluation, supporters have been waiting for him to admit it for a long time. A lasting wish for repair. Kody states unequivocally that I don't want to lose them, in spite of the sobs, the regrets, and the damaged connections. If they let me, I'll do whatever it takes to rebuild. He talks about wanting to call each child personally, just to listen, not to lecture them or go over disagreements again. He says, I want to hear their pain, even if it kills me. That is what I owe them. It's another matter completely whether the kids are prepared. There are some new wounds. For years, others have been festering. However, this is the first time that fans have witnessed Kody accept true responsibility, without making excuses, placing blame on other wives, or evading scrutiny by citing the difficulties of multiple marriages. Christine's response to his disintegration. Christine reacts with unexpected poise to Kody's tearful admission. It's good for him and the kids if he's finally realizing the consequences of his decisions. She says, accountability isn't crying once in a confessional. She cautions nevertheless. It is appearing daily. It is expressing regret without defending oneself. It's not feeling, but change. She's correct too. Healing takes effort, but tears make for compelling TV. Fans' reactions, everything, skepticism, and sympathy between as soon as the episode aired. Social media was ablaze. Kody was commended by some fans for accepting responsibility at last. Others contended that his collapse only occurred after he lost his marriages and the stability of his home. Many said they hoped he truly wanted to get back in touch with his kids. The discussion is passionate, polarizing, and intense, appropriate for a plot that has consistently been among the most combustible on the program. What takes place next? Producers hint that Kody will try to meet up with some of his children one-on-one in upcoming episodes. It remains to be seen if those meetings succeed or fail. However, Kody's candid admission represents a sea change in his storyline. Not as the self-assured father, not as the family's self-appointed leader, but as a man, damaged, flawed, and at last prepared to own it. Fans didn't anticipate that plot twist alone. A final moment that sums up everything. The episode closes with a straightforward shot, as the Arizona sun sets behind the mountains.